Hello everyone and welcome to Agile 360. In this video, we're going to talk about Agile, and this is a really popular methodology of software development nowadays, and it's really a buzz in industry, and people are learning and adopting Agile. So let us quickly understand in short what exactly Agile is. So Agile methodology employs the incremental and iterative work cadences that are called sprint. All right. So as the word suggests, Agile, it gives you the flexibility, agility, so that you can cater the new changes, requirements as per the market conditions and the requirement from the clients or the product team. All right. So there are various versions of Agile, which you can see in the image. That's like one is Kanban, second is Scrum, third is extreme programming, and there are various terminologies as Scrum, the sprints, the backlogs. So these terminologies we'll understand in coming videos, but in this one I want to tell you, like, Agile gives you the opportunity so that the product development can be really smooth with more and more involvement of the clients, the customers, and that's what agility gives. When we talk about the Agile methodology, usually in one part of the Agile approach, that is Scrum, the Scrum talks about piece of a specific work or the achievement which the Scrum team decides, usually of 1 week or 2 weeks, and then the team try to give a kind of ready to use software, and that is how this methodology or this approach goes. All right. So in the next video, I am going to talk about the differences between the Agile and Waterfall, so that you will be able to relate more, like how Agile is really different from Waterfall methodology, and you will be able to understand more. All right, that's it for this video. Do post if you have any question or what excites you about the Agile. Do post in the comment section. The Agile versus Waterfall. This has been quite interesting topic, and a lot of I would say jobs and interviews will find such questions where fundamental differences we should understand. All right, so let's quickly walk through with the Waterfall. So as we know, Waterfall is a linear traditional approach of the software development, where usually the requirement gathering, the planning, then designing, then development, then different kind of testing, and then fixing if there is some bug, and then deployment and maintenance. That has been the regular model of the Waterfall, or the linear model of the Waterfall. All right. When we talk about the Agile model, so Agile is basically emphasizing on more rapid delivery of application in complete functional components. It works on the time boxed phases, which are called as sprints, and usually the deliverables are prioritized by business value as determined by the customers. And each sprint, client has, or the product team has, the option to reprioritize the task for the future sprints. So ultimately, work is continually reviewed and evaluated, and that's the reason it is really high level of customers involvement. All right. So if you try to see the advantages of Waterfall models, so advantages are like, whenever you are keeping the products where the requirements are 100% clear to the clients, it is one of the best, I would say, the methodology you can follow, and it has a strong documentation, and it allows a solid scope for the solid scope boundaries. When you talk about the Agile is basically when you looking forward, or when the client is looking forward for a project where requirements are going to be changed, and maybe you are not very sure about the requirements. That is how you pick it, this methodology. When project priorities are continually evaluated and client feedback sought to get the product they desire, this is another advantage of using Agile. All right. And as product is thoroughly tested, the product could be launched at the end of any development cycle and more likely to reach its launch date. Let us quickly talk about the Waterfall and the Agile disadvantages. So the biggest disadvantage with the Agile is, uh, very minimum kind of opportunity to change their requirements. All right. So whenever we're looking forward for some changes, modification, it is really hard to bring with the waterfall methodology. And it relies heavily on the initial requirement itself. And that's the reason when there is some new changes or modification as per the market condition has come up, it's really difficult to incorporate the same requirements using the waterfall methodology. It also does not accommodate a client's evolving needs without impacting the schedule and the budget. And that's the reason each cycle by cycle it has to be followed. So this has been the major disadvantages. When you talk about the agile disadvantages, with an inexperienced manager, the project can become a series of code sprints and result in unforeseen delays and cost. And that's the reason agile is really flexible and really amazing methodology. But being with an inexperienced manager, it could be, project could be on, unforeseen delays and the high kind of cost involved in the project. Another is like, as the initial project doesn't have a definite plan, the final product can be grossly different from what was initially intended. So this is another disadvantage we can consider in the form of agile. Now we talk about really important question is like when to use waterfall, when to use agile. All right. So whenever you have a complete clear picture of the final product, you should go for the waterfall model. All right. And another scenario is when client do not want to change, or they would not change the scope of the project, then it is a really good methodology to adopt. It's really old and people have been following this methodology. So this is how you can use it. Now, question is when to use the agile. So when there is rapid production is important and the client will change the scope of the project, or there is no clear picture since the beginning when you're starting the project, or exactly product team or the client doesn't know what exactly product will look like, what features we may include and so on. So that is how you can, pick this methodology of agile. All right, so these are the fundamental differences in focus in comparison of agile and waterfall. So it is delight the customer. Waterfall is deliver no more than what is stated in the contract. When we talk about agile, it's the servant leadership. Waterfall is more managerial control. Agile is really famous for the self-managing teams, and waterfall is for the managed team by a supervisor or a manager. And in agile, it is continuous inspecting and adapting, while waterfall is minimal deviation from the scope of the plan already decided. All right, so I hope in this video you are clear with the ideas. What are the advantages and disadvantages of the agile and waterfall, when to use which methodology, and also you got the fundamental differences in focus of agile and waterfall. Type your questions on the comment box and hit the subscription button as well. Agile Manifesto. All right. So if you are looking forward to understand Agile, you're sitting for the jobs for Agile or PMP or Scrum, you must know this important question. And it is important for interview perspective as well. So let's quickly see what are the important Agile Manifesto. All right. So I just logged into my portal and let me go to the Academy, which is Agile Scrum, and let me explore. And then we start with the Agile Manifesto. All right. So you go to the course, which is Scrum Master Certification. Okay, so Agile is booming, and a lot of professionals and industries are learning Agile, and they're looking forward to practice the Scrum and Agile. So that's how we'll be learning and working. So let me explain the important concept of Agile Manifesto. All right. So Agile basically talks about the first manifesto that talk about is individuals and interactions over processes and tools. As we have seen, like in the waterfall models and the traditional methodology of the software development, the more focus and emphasis was on the processes and tools. But in agile practice, more interactions and individuals are really important. So usually we call it like people are more important than the processes and tools in agile. Second important, the manifesto, that is working software over comprehensive documentation. All right. So rather creating tons of documentation, definitely documentation is important, but I would say only not only the documentation, but working software. So Agile talks about whenever you are delivering a Scrum or a kind of, end product, it is always a kind of working software and a solution. That's the second manifesto. Third one is customer collaboration over contract negotiation. So way back when we used to have the long contract documentation and the development team is working for the based on the document, the contract we assigned, it is now more important that you involving customers. So their customer collaboration is really, really important in Agile. And that is the third manifesto. The last one is the one of the biggest reason why Agile is so popular now, and that is responding to change over following a plan. All right. So following a traditional waterfall model or methodology plan, like going with the design to the development to the testing, Agile give you the flexibility that you're able to respond to the changes after each sprint, which we usually call usually is like of a 1 week or 2 week time. So that is actually one of the biggest reason Agile gets so much popularity. So that's it in this video. The 4 Agile Manifesto. Do watch the video again. If you have any questions, post the question on the comment box. Principles behind the Agile Manifesto. So here are the important 12 principles, and let me read and explain one by one. The first and foremost, the principle behind the Agile Manifesto, that's customer satisfaction. All right. So customer satisfaction have been really, really important principle behind the manifesto. And that's the reason following exactly the structured plan, rather following that plan, the Agile talks about the customer satisfaction. And customer satisfaction comes with the option of accommodating giving the option to the customers of accommodating changing requirements. All right. So rather sticking to a specific plan, as we are giving in Agile the option to accommodate the requirement, and we all know like how we give that option. That option we give with the option of including in the future sprints. All right. So that help a lot in terms of accommodating new and the changing requirements. The third point the principle talk about is the frequent software delivery. Also, it connects with the working software. All right. So Agile talks about the rapid development or the rapid delivery of software. And when we talk about software, it is always expected. And actually, the way it is designed is after every sprint, we are looking forward to give a working software. All right. So usually a sprint is of 1 week or 2 weeks time. And that's the reason a working software is expected after each delivery of the sprint. And the future planning can be done based on the prioritization, the requirements, and the customers interaction. Fourth principle talk about the collaboration. That's what we're talking. Collaboration is like, it's not only the collaboration of the development testing and this the team dev team, but also the collaboration with the clients, with the customers. So regularly feedbacks and the changes and the modifications and confirmation could be taken. That has been another really important principle behind Agile Manifesto. All right. When we talk about the different meetings, there is one more principle comes in the picture, and that's face-to-face interactions. All right. So Agile teams sit for a small stand-up call every day, and they They talk, they discuss, they define the action plan, the task the one resource is going to take, and so on. So the stand-up meetings, it's like face-to-face interaction, and short face-to-face interaction help all the team members to understand, to discuss, to support each other, to trust and motivate as well. All right. So, and that's the reason none of the resources work in isolation, and they all discuss daily in a face-to-face interaction, and that help motivating each of these members. They develop trust and support for each other while working on this product or the project is going on. Another is like support maintainable speed. And that is another beauty and the principle in Agile. Why? Because when there is a sprint is decided of, let's say, 2 weeks time, every 2 week time, the man hours as per the resources involved in the project, that is decided. And that's the reason the speed of progress, or the speed of development, or the speed of delivery of that working software is actually quite maintainable. And that's the reason even if one of a resource or the resource is not working, you have actually the clear picture, like these many hours, man hours is going to put in this week for this project. And that's how the agile teams able to understand and manage and maintain their maintainable speed. All right. The ninth and 10th point talk about the attention to detail and the simplicity. So the most important point when we talk about attention to detail and simplicity is because here with the regular interactions and the specific user stories and the end product expectation, it is quite simple to understand what exactly to be done on a day, what exactly what exactly is expected by the client or the customer by the end of the day or by end of the sprint. And that's the reason it is really simple for the team members to pick up the user stories or the task to get into the development and make it happen. All right. Last point is like self-organizing and self-improvement. Is the self-organizing team is really important principle behind the, I would say, Agile Manifesto. And when you talk about self-organizing team, it means that the Agile teams are managed self. So every member, every team member in Agile, they're managing themselves. All right. So in comparison to the previous model where they are managed by someone or an authority, they are self-managed. And when people are self-managed, they're able to assess and they're able to give the more output and productivity. Why? Because the system is really transparent. And when the system is transparent, the deliverables are really clear and the area of improvements are quite visible into the system. And that's the reason the self-improvement automatically comes in the agile, I would say, the methodology. One more point which I want to add on, and that's like usually when you know how exactly you are using agile, and if you are exactly using the correct agile practices, if you're using it right, then these all principles you're able to see in action while working on the projects day-to-day basis. And these are the most important reasons, the principles why agile is so popular, and agile is getting so popularity. And it's it's a good choice for the rapid development as well. So that's it in this video, and we'll see in the next video. We'll talk about more concepts of agile. Stay tuned. If you have any questions on any of the agile principle, drop your comment at the comment box, and we'll be happy to reply and help you. All right, thank you so much. Agile myths. There are many in industry, but we'll discuss a few in this video. So one, I would say, starting myth in the agile are which are quite common, and that's like agile means having no documentation. Agile means no design, no planning. All right. So it's a big myth in agile. People think like definitely in comparison to the waterfall model, documentation is less, more focus and emphasize on the collaboration and the working software. But it doesn't mean that agile doesn't have the documentation. Agile do have the documentation that is in the form of the user stories, that is in the form of the design, that is the form of the planning, because each and every, I would say, the requirement, the user story, where the item has to be defined, the requirement has to be catered. The team sits the way team usually sit, they decide, and accordingly, the planning, designing, requirement phase is already done. And once it is done, then we move further for the implementation part. So this is completely a big myth that Agile means no documentation, no planning, no design. Agile do require the actual planning, the designing of the software, the implementation of it, reviewing it, testing it, and then considering it at the end of the sprint as a kind of completion of whatever workable software the Scrum Master of the team decided before entering to the Scrum. All right. So that's it in this video. We'll see you in the next short video. We'll talk about more agile myths, and then we'll understand how industry is confused with agile myths and what exactly it is. All right. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, post your question in the comment box. Do hit the subscription button so that you can get more and more videos automatically at your mailbox notification. The another myth in agile, and that is agile doesn't work for fixed deadline projects. All right. So honestly, agile works pretty good in fixed deadline project environment, because when team members use agile, particularly the Scrum and the XP versions, they receive much of their power from the harnessing the deadline effects. All right. So sizing work to the deadline, individual motivation, and willingness to renegotiate just what is being built to meet a date. So that's the reason agile methods are also very good for fixed price work, since the costs are overwhelmingly wages multiplied by time. Next myth of agile, that is Scrum and Kanban are sworn enemies. So some individuals get a lot of eyeballs by saying that Scrum and Kanban are enemies. A cynic might even say the marketing efforts behind both methods might view the image of competition as a useful publicity tool. In my experience, many teams are combining ideas from the iterative methods, Scrum and extreme programming, with ideas from the Kanban. So one combination, Scrumban, was described by Corey Lattice 4 years ago, and I continue to evolve my own XPan method. In case you haven't guessed it, XPan is a fusion of XP and Kanban. The next agile myth, and that is developers get to do what they like. This is actually a big myth, and it is the correct answer is actually no. Developers do not get to do what they like. If this is true for you, then you're doing it exactly wrong. All right. So agile needs well-disciplined teams, and that is the reason we call it like self-managing teams. So what gets done should be lead from a specific role, usually designated the customer or product owner. If developers are doing what they like, then there's a good chance something is wrong with the role and the person playing, or the person who's playing it, or the authority vested in it. All right. So it seems to me that the business side sometimes feel as if developers get to do what they like because they fail to grasp the nature of agile, which is a collaborative process. They involves discussion, negotiation between those with the building the system and those who requested the system. All right. So this is a big myth. Developers do what they like. This is not at all true. It's a well-disciplined, self-managed team, and that's how the agile, the methodology works. All right. The another agile myth, and that myth is there is a right size for a user story. All right. So honestly, a user story can always be modified by a later one, and especially when new information or feedback is acquired. That's a huge advantage of a Scrum development. It is iterative and incremental. So you can make adjustments as quickly as in your next 2 week sprint. So if you try to talk about user stories, so user story can range from a simple task to large. A complicated modules of functionality can be divided into various subtasks, and usually the larger stories are called as epics, and these need to be broken down into smaller pieces before the development team can fit them into a sprint. And that gave us another information regarding the next myth, that like work must fit in a sprint. It means even smaller stories need to be split sometimes. And a rule of thumb we follow at like Sandal is that no single story can consume more than 25 percentage of each 2 week sprints capacity. All right. So that's it. Usually it is downtime is considered as waste in the effort or the work. So we'll understand what exactly downtime means and how agile help in eliminating the downtime. All right, so agile aggressively eliminates downtime, which is waste, and agile and lean seek to address the wastes that are typically rampant in business projects. So one is like defects, another is overproduction, waiting, non-utilized talent, transportation, inventory, motion, and extra processing. Let us quickly understand one by one what exactly these means. All right. So defects are like the software bugs or the incorrect data entry or information, which was not expected as per the functionality desire. So that is one is called as defects. Another is overproduction. So building 5 features to find that only 2 were needed, and that's the reason it's called as overproduction. So printing and filling of unnecessary documents, that is another wastage in the agile, I would say, in the working, and that's what agile help to eliminate. One more is the waiting. So software sitting in the QA queue on the system downtime. All right. So as the team works collaboratively in the agile, so it helps eliminating the waiting time for the team members. So for example, till the development is on in other models, and QA is sitting in a queue, or maybe the software testing is in the queue. So that's the reason it agile helps eliminating the downtime using the waiting. Another reason example is non-utilized talent. So people with advanced skill do routine work, and employees' ideas for improvement are ignored. All right. So